Hello, fellow nerds. Today we are returning to Barovia, the Curse of Strahd campaign, and I would like to introduce two characters, Ezmerelda d'Avenir and Rudolf van Richten, who are closely connected, if not to say related. In the campaign I am a player in, Ezmerelda has already appeared, but Van Richten hasn't appeared yet. And in the campaign I am running as a DM, my players have only encountered Van Richten, although they have met him under his alias. And this is probably the time for a spoiler alert. If the connection between Ezmerelda and Van Richten hasn't already been a spoiler. Anyway, you have been warned. So let's have a look. Ezmerelda d'Avenir, a Vistana, is the protégée of Rudolf van Richten, despite the fact that her first encounter with the vampire hunter was anything but pleasant. When Ezmerelda was a little girl, her family kidnapped Van Richten's teenage son, Erasmus, and delivered him into the clutches of a vampire. Even today, years later, she can still hear Erasmus's pleas for mercy. That event haunted her childhood. Van Richten tracked down Ezmerelda's family soon after the kidnapping, but not before the Vistani had sold the boy. Though Van Richten could have done them harm, he instead interrogated Ezmerelda's mother and father on the whereabouts of his missing son. Satisfied with their answers, he spared their lives before departing with the information they had given him. Ezmerelda witnessed Van Richten's act of mercy and was deeply moved by it. Van Richten's tragic tale. At the age of 15, Ezmerelda, still troubled by what her family had done to Van Richten, ran away from home. After many harrowing adventures, she tracked down Van Richten 2 years later. Thinking she was a Vistana assassin, he put a sword to her throat and threatened to spill her blood. Ezmerelda convinced him that she genuinely wanted to help him find his missing son, whereupon Van Richten told her the saddest of tales. He had found his son, who had been transformed into a vampire spawn. When Erasmus pleaded to his father for salvation, Van Richten granted his request by ending his existence. Farewell. Ezmerelda remained by Van Richten's side for 2 years, helping him track down and slay many creatures of the night. But because Van Richten could never bring himself to fully trust the Vistana, he kept secrets from her. The two vampire hunters got on each other's nerves, and their arguments became more frequent. At last, Ezmerelda suggested that they part company with some shred of their friendship still intact, and Van Richten agreed. Ezmerelda's secret. Since bidding farewell to Van Richten, she has amassed a sizable personal fortune, some of which she used to buy a wagon to carry her vampire-slaying paraphernalia. On one of her less successful adventures, a werewolf bit off her right leg below the knee, and although she avoided being afflicted with lycanthropy, Ezmerelda was sidelined for months. She commissioned a master artisan to craft a prosthetic lower leg and foot. After several tries, she delivered a prosthesis that restored her mobility. She has since adapted well to the false appendage and takes care to hide it from view. The Great Vampire Hunt. While in the company of a Vistani caravan, Ezmerelda heard a rumor that Rudolf van Richten had gone to Barovia to slay the most powerful vampire of them all. She decided that he might need help and traveled for months to reach Strahd's domain. She rode her wagon to Vallaki and learned about an old tower that seemed the sort of place van Richten would use as a base. When she arrived there, she found some of van Richten's belongings, but of the vampire hunter there was no sign. Although she is anxious to learn the whereabouts of her mentor, she is also eager to earn his trust and respect. To that end, she has been poring over van Richten's research and learning about Strahd and Castle Ravenloft, with every intention of dispatching the vampire herself. Ezmerelda keeps a deck of tarot cards in her wagon. Although the cards aren't magical, she can use them to perform a card reading for the characters, like the one that can be performed by Madame Eva. Ezmerelda d'Avenir's traits. Ideal. Evil that feeds on the innocent is the worst of all evils and must be destroyed. Bond. My mentor and teacher, Dr. Rudolf van Richten, is like a father to me. Flaw. I go where angels fear to tread. Now, in our campaign, she wasn't that shy about her false leg. And she flirted quite a lot with our... No, not with our bard. With Irena, the NPC we've been keeping for some reason. Now maybe let's have a look at Van Richten. There he is. But in the campaign guide he is listed as Rictavio. So there's something shady going on. Why else would he be needing two names? Rictavio. Several months ago, a colorfully dressed half-elf bard came to Barovia in a carnival wagon with a pet monkey on his shoulder. He took over an abandoned tower on Lake Baratok before rolling into the town of Vallaki several months later. Claiming to be a carnival ringmaster in search of new actors, he began regaling locals with tales of distant lands. I made a point of making him extra flamboyant when I introduced him in my campaign, and sure enough, our ranger elf kind of fell for him, so let's see how that goes. Monster Hunter. The half-elf ringmaster is, in fact, a legendary human vampire hunter named Rudolf van Richten. Van Richten's tale is a sad one. A scholar and doctor from a land called Darken, he married his childhood sweetheart Ingrid, and together they had a son, Erasmus. When he was 14, Erasmus was stolen away by Vistani and sold to a vampire named Baron Metus, to be used as a companion. By the time Van Richten found his son, it was too late. The Baron had already transformed Erasmus into a vampire spawn. Erasmus begged his father to end his suffering, which Van Richten did by pounding a wooden stake through his son's chest. Baron Mettus avenged that deed by killing Van Richten's wife, and Van Richten has lived with the horror of his family's destruction ever since. After destroying Baron Mettus in turn, Van Richten sought revenge against the Vistani and took up a life of hunting evil monsters. The waiting game. Van Richten isn't a young man anymore. He knows his road is coming to an end, but his work isn't done. He has come to Barovia to kill Strahd, the greatest vampire of them all. Van Richten has studied Strahd for years and knows he can't hope to the best the vampire in a straight-up confrontation. He must wait for the right moment to strike. He has good evidence to suggest that he periodically hibernates in his coffin, sometimes for years, when all is quiet in the realm. While he bides his time, Van Richten hides in plain sight with the aid of a hat of disguise, his thoughts protected by a ring of mind shielding. He is trying to learn more about the Keepers of the Feather, a society of were-ravens that oppose Strahd, while trying not to expose the secret society to their mutual enemy. He thinks the were-ravens might prove helpful when the time comes. Van Richten also wants to take out as many of Strahd's spies as he can, starting with the evil Vistani. Man with a plan. Van Richten doesn't know that his former protégé, a good-aligned Vistana named Ezmerelda d'Avenir, has come to Barovia looking for him. He taught her many of his monster hunting techniques, but she doesn't know all of his tricks and disguises. So far their paths haven't crossed. In the event that Van Richten becomes aware of her presence, he does his utmost to protect her without putting his own plans in jeopardy. If he can manipulate a party of adventurers into keeping an eye on her, he will do so. Van Richten works alone. A curse placed on him long ago by a Vistani seer brings doom to those he befriends. Furthermore, he believes too much is at stake to risk exposure. Consequently, if he thinks he's in danger of being unmasked, he retreats to his tower or some other quiet corner of the domain. Rictavio's traits. Ideal. Evil cannot go unchallenged. Bond. To protect those I love, I must keep them distant and hidden from my enemies. Flaw. I am cursed, thus I will never have peace. Now, Van Richten's tower nearly killed the whole party in the campaign I'm a player in, and it was entirely our fault, as usual. Well, it did reduce Irina to 0 hit points in one go, because one of our warlocks went up to the door, and there was a sigil on the door, and I think 2 of us failed our arcana checks, so we had no clue what it means. And what do you do if you find a sigil on a door that you don't know? You're going to touch it. And then lightning shot out of the tower, reduced Irina to 0 hit points in one go because of her plate armor. I think the only person smart enough to stay out of range, was the bard. The warlocks are they are literally too stupid. They have like an intelligence of 9 or something. Hadolin could have known, but she was already, looking for a way to break into the tower and loot it. Yeah, it was pretty bad. One of those occasions where your DM is telling you to go away. Go away. And, stupid decisions have consequences. Irina is still a bit pouty about the whole incident. Well, poor girl. It's not like we're forcing her to stay with us. Well, so much for these two characters who are very interesting to roleplay. I really enjoyed being Rictavio with his pet monkey and his pet tiger. I renamed the tiger. What did I gave her some very cute name. Fluffy or something. The monkey is called Piccolo in the campaign guide, and I kept it. Oh, and there's the horse, the draft horse that pulls his wagon. I think she's named Drusilla. Yes, Drusilla. I kept that name because it's really cool. Well, of course, our ranger fell for him. He has pets. He has a pet tiger. What's not to love? It's like a big kitty. It's also worth mentioning that our ranger has an animal companion. That's why my friend changed classes to begin with. Her character started off as a druid, and then she changed it to ranger. Because spellcasting is difficult, and it's her first time playing, which was a bad choice. I should have tried harder to talk her out of that. And she wanted an animal companion, and druids aren't supposed to have those for some reason or other. So now her character is a ranger with with an animal companion, and guess what it is? A wolf spider, whose name just escaped me. Tiffy. A wolf spider named Tiffy. Yeah. She hatched while the characters were in the tavern in Vallaki, and pets are not allowed in there, so they had to leave. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this is going to play out. Unfortunately, the player can't join our sessions at the moment, so I sent her character and Rictavio off on a date. She was still there to roleplay that, and now the date is just going on forever. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this, narration-wise. But we are all adults, we have all jobs and lives, and D&D takes up quite a lot of time to prepare and stuff. Sometimes life gets in the way. So, enough rambling. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. I hope you enjoyed this, even though this is again a very short video. And Curse of Strahd is a very specific campaign. But I wanted to give you something So here it is. I'm looking forward to seeing you next time, and I hope you are going to have a lovely day, or if you're using this video to fall asleep too, I wish you very pleasant dreams. And for now, bye bye fellow nerds.